One of Ariana's biggest feuds has been with her former co-star Victoria Justice. There was always a lot of confusion surrounding their feud because fans never really understood what was really going on. And to be honest, I still don't totally get it. There has been an alleged feud going on for years, going all the way back to 2010 when reports started saying the two of them didn't like each other, despite working together on the Nickelodeon show Victorious. Throughout the past 10 years, the two of them have denied feud rumors on different occasions, but then other things would happen and it would make people believe differently. There's an infamous video clip that went viral showing an interview with Ariana, Victoria, and two of their other co-stars. In the video, one of their co-stars, Elizabeth, is going on about how Ariana sings, and Victoria interrupts the interview and says, "I think we all sing." The video came across in this very jealous way because Victoria also sang on the show, but obviously Ariana's singing career took off and hers didn't. Time and time again though, media outlets reported tension between the two girls, but they have continued to deny it. Victoria did admit during an interview in 2013 that the two of them have had their differences, but said that she still sees the entire cast as one big family. So maybe they did have their differences and had moments of tension, but it seems like they've worked it out at this age, as they probably should. One celebrity who has been very open about her dislike towards Ariana is Giuliana Rancic. The E! News host and red carpet correspondent has interviewed countless amounts of celebrities throughout her career. And with that, she's also had feuds with some of them, Ariana being one of them. Which is a little surprising to me because Ariana isn't one to get into like petty fights and cause drama. But it seemed like this one was very much one-sided. Back in 2014, Giuliana talked about her on E! And said, I quote, "She does have a little bit of a diva thing going on." But what was it that caused her to feel this way about Ariana? She told the story of the time they did an interview and said that they both wanted to showcase their good side to the camera, but they made Giuliana move and then Ariana got to show her good side. She told the story and said, I quote, "Little Ariana comes over and they push me to the other side. I had to fight 13 years to get this side of the camera. It's my good side." Apparently, she took this as if Ariana didn't get her good side, then she wouldn't do the interview. That's when she called Ariana a Mariah Carey and said she has to bend over backwards and do whatever she wants in order to get an interview with her. The E! Host said that Ariana needed to earn her stripes and wasn't far enough in her career to have this kind of attitude. Now, I can understand two ladies wanting to have their good side facing the camera, like don't we all? But I also don't see how this was diva behavior. If anything, this just seems very diva of Giuliana. But let me know what you guys think. I think it's just petty and ridiculous, really. They're both beautiful, like I'm pretty sure both of your sides are good sides. Next up, we have Perez Hilton. Their feud goes way back in time, and at one point things were so bad, reports were saying lawyers could be getting involved. Back in 2014, he tweeted at Ariana saying he heard that she was spotted using cocaine. He expressed concern and then tweeted the same thing at Nickelodeon and Ariana's family, including her mother. Obviously, this was not genuine concern because if you were genuinely concerned for someone's well-being, you wouldn't be tweeting about it publicly. You would probably be messaging them, like privately, maybe. That's when rumors started going around that Ariana was going to sue Perez. So what does Perez do? He tweets out his lawyer's info to Ariana and her mom. Sadly, this was just one moment of tension between the two of them. There are actually quite a few. Later down the road, in more recent times, he called her out for allegedly being a diva. He released an article on his gossip blog website entitled it, "Ariana Grande is so demanding and shallow." It has since been removed, and maybe that's because her fans were quick to defend her. Don't mess with her fans, they're crazy. It seemed like he tried to warn the world that she was some kind of diva who has shallow values, but it was a very unsuccessful attempt. He recently opened up about why he's been so angry towards her all these years, and he revealed that he tried to become her manager when she was just 18 years old, but she rejected him. He explained and said, "I was really hurt, so for years afterwards, I was super petty toward Ariana on my website and on social media. I regret that." It seems like he has come to his senses now and realized that his warnings just aren't being taken seriously. And yeah, he's probably biting himself now because he would be making bank off her. We're moving on to another celebrity, and we have Mayim Bialik. Probably the most random feud you will ever hear about. The Big Bang Theory actress expressed that she had a problem with Ariana back in 2014. She wrote a blog post entitled it, "The Problem with That Giant Billboard of Ariana Grande." In the lengthy blog, which is far too long for me to read on this video, she went into detail about her distaste of Ariana's sexual nature in her album advertisements. She was particularly commenting on a billboard where Ariana is wearing lingerie. She wrote, "Why is she in her underwear on this billboard though? And if she has a talent, then why does she have to sell herself in lingerie?" The reason she had such an issue with it is because she feels that it is damaging for the young girls who look up to Ariana. Ariana has made it clear in interviews though that she should not and will not feel guilty for embracing her sexuality and feeling confident in her own skin. I understand where Mayim's concern is, but maybe don't single out Ariana Grande when this is something that goes on in Hollywood and media like as a whole. That's literally Hollywood. Coming up next is another Nickelodeon co-star, Jennette McCurdy. The two girls actually had their own show together called Sam and Cat, and during that time they seemed inseparable. But over time things seemed to go sour and Jennette took some hits at Ariana. In 2014, Ariana won Favorite TV Actress over Jennette, and TMZ reported that Jennette skipped the award show because she was trying to renegotiate her deal since apparently she made less money than Ariana did. But Ariana was quick to clear up those rumors and took it to Facebook saying, "I am not making more money than my co-star, nor do I think I should be. I am, have always been, and always will be about equality and fairness." Just a few months later though, the show was canceled and they both went on to follow their own career paths. But Jennette's next project seemed to take a shot at Ariana. It was a web series called What's Next for Sarah. In the third episode, it featured a character named Gloriana, a girl with a high ponytail just like Ariana's. Perez Hilton and Jennette joked about the episode on Twitter, and Perez wrote, "Can I be in an upcoming episode? I can be Gloriana's obnoxious gay brother." This would obviously annoy or upset Ariana because of the way that Perez has treated her, which I mentioned above. Reports say the two of them have not spoken in years, and in 2016, Jennette posted a video of her jamming out to one of Ariana's songs, so maybe they have buried the hatchet after all these years. We're not totally sure. Making his way onto this list is Kanye West. It's not really a surprise that she has ended up in one of his Twitter rants. Almost every celebrity has at one point in time. Back in 2018, he called her out on Twitter for using his Twitter feud with Drake as a way to promote her new song with Miley Cyrus. What happened was, Ariana tweeted, "Guys, I know there are grown men arguing online right now, but Miley and I are dropping our beautiful new song tonight, so if y'all could just please behave for just like a few hours so the girls can shine, that would be so sick, thank you." She was referring to Kanye and Drake, who were in a heated spat on Twitter. Kanye took her tweet more personally than it was probably intended to be, and he was very hurt by it. He admitted he was mentally struggling and said it wasn't right for her to make a joke about the situation. He said, "Ariana, you know I got love for you, but until you're ready to really make sure everyone's okay, don't use me or this moment to promote a song." I understand where he's coming from, and some people were in agreement with him, while others just thought he was making it way more serious than it was. Ariana's response though was everyone's favorite part. She did apologize if her tweet triggered him and said that she understands how it was insensitive, but she started her apology by saying, "With all due respect, I don't need to use anyone to promote anything, period." Lastly, we have one of her ex-fiancés, Pete Davidson. The two of them got together in 2018 and their relationship moved very quickly, getting engaged and moving in with each other after only months of dating. From the outside looking in, they seemed to be head over heels for one another. They were freaking adorable. But they were only engaged for a few months before Ariana broke it off and they went their separate ways. After their split, Pete went and got a cover-up over the tattoo that he had done for her while they were obviously together, and he called her out in his Netflix comedy special. He wasn't thrilled about her song Thank You Next, where she wrote lyrics about all of her ex-boyfriends, including him. During his Netflix stand-up special, he called her out and said, "Can you imagine if I did that? My career would be over tomorrow. If I spray painted myself brown and hopped on the cover of Vogue magazine and just started on my ex." He also didn't think it was fair that she was named Billboard's Women of the Year after her hit song about him and all her exes, but he was publicly ridiculed after their breakup. However, since then, the two of them have come to good terms and now both speak kindly about one another. Pete later revealed that the reason they actually ended was because Ariana was hurting after her ex-boyfriend Mac Miller tragically passed away from an overdose. He admitted that she was going through a very difficult time and said that he now respects the decision that she made.
Coming in at number 10 today, we have the deleted Instagram. Over the weekend, reports all across social media would claim that Ariana's husband, Dalton Gomez, deactivated his Instagram, and in the process, fans have started to speculate that the married couple was headed towards a divorce. According to recent articles, just after fans started questioning Dalton's sexuality, he would deactivate his Instagram page. However, it's still unsure whether or not these accusations regarding who he is interested in or not was actually behind the reason for him to deactivate his account in the first place. With Ariana's husband reportedly not using Instagram regularly, he could have just deactivated his account because he just doesn't want to use social media anymore. With the two being happily married, that hasn't stopped the divorce rumors from swirling around Hollywood, and it makes us wonder if this whole thing is just being blown out of proportion by the public, as there hasn't been any signs to show that the pair are separating online. Well, that's just yet. Who knows what we might see in the weeks to come. Number 9. Still loves Mac Miller. After Ariana's relationship turned toxic with Mac Miller, she would be devastated when she made the decision to leave the late star. Her desire to be his rock and to help him battle through his ongoing substance abuse became a little too much for her, as he wasn't able to accomplish anything that they were working on together, and she understandably couldn't bear to watch him go down this destructive road. Back in 2018, Grande would make her first public comment regarding the couple's breakup when she would say, "Unconditional love is not selfish. It's wanting the best for the person, even at that moment it's not you. I can't wait to know and support you forever, and I'm so proud of you." Mac would then pass away on September 7th, 2018, leaving Ariana to only be able to wish for her to tell him in person what he actually meant to her, as she expressed on her smash hit Thank You Next, and has since never stopped expressing her love for the star, even as she has moved on in her personal life with her husband Dalton Gomez. But as she falls more in love with Dalton, she's struggling to stop comparing her new love to Mac, and it's becoming really hard for the star, as in 2019 she even choked up during a show in his hometown of Pittsburgh when she got to the part, "I wish I could say thank you to Malcolm because he was an angel," in her song Thank You Next. And she even had his music playing in the arena earlier that evening as concert goers filled into the arena. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss what we might just cover next. Coming in at number 8, we have the rushed marriage. With Ariana and her Los Angeles real estate husband Dalton Gomez having a year-long lockdown relationship, when the pair announced in December of 2020 they were engaged after just 11 months of dating. While both Ariana's and Dalton's families were thrilled about the two getting married, some of Ariana's friends were concerned that the pair's relationship was moving a little too fast. Some even told Entertainment Tonight they weren't even sure if the pair were actually going to last. With there no doubt about the couple being very much in love, but some of their friends thought the arrangement was somewhat rushed, and they were very skeptical when it came to the fact that the pair's relationship could ultimately be short-lived. With the pair mainly being able to keep to themselves, they were forced for over a year to just enjoy each other's company, especially since Ariana bought a house so she could live in it with Dalton, and since they've kept their relationship pretty private, so it makes us wonder what could be happening behind closed doors. Number 7. Famous friends. It's no doubt that the only reason why Ariana's relationship has made it this far, it's because it's been pretty private. However, he tends to be friends with the same circle as Ariana, which could pose as a bit of a stress on the couple's relationship from time to time, as it means they are with each other a lot of the time. They don't really have any spare time to escape like a normal couple would. With TMZ pointing out that Dalton does in fact have other celebrity friends, which include Miley Cyrus, as she shared a story with him hanging out with her other friends back in 2017. We know personally Miley is close to Ariana, as they've even teamed up from time to time to collab on certain projects, and that means her fiance runs in the same circle as she does. Number 6. He was her realtor. Unlike most of Ariana's exes, Dalton is not an entertainer, but instead he's a Los Angeles real estate agent. Currently he serves as the director of estates division for luxury real estate company Aaron Kerman's Group, where he works with A-list clients. According to his company's website, Dalton has 7 years of experience when it comes to the luxury real estate market, and during his first 3 years in the business he served as the director of operations, which meant he was running all the day-to-day operations for one of the top luxury real estate teams in LA, which means that the couple actually met when Ariana was looking for a house outside of Los Angeles to be her getaway house, and her team found Dalton to help her with that, which makes you wonder, is it against the business ethics to go on a date with her in the first place, since he was employed by the singer? After all, he helped her find a house. Number 5, she made the first move. So we all appreciate a girl who is brave enough to make the first move, but at times certain girls who made the first move in the first place aren't exactly happy with the fact that they had to be the one to do it. So according to US Weekly, when Ariana was looking for a house outside of Los Angeles to be her getaway home, her team and Dalton helped her find the perfect location. However, Ariana, when she finally met Dalton and saw him in person for the first time, she immediately thought he was cute and very good looking, so she asked her team if they could set up an in-person meeting with him. And from there, Ariana fell very hard for the real estate agent as soon as she met with him. After the two met, Ariana went on to follow Dalton and his tattoo artist brother Dakota, and one of them even pointed out that Dalton and Aaron Kerman had the listing for the property that she purchased. Dalton also went on to comment on her Instagram live one time saying, "This girl is cute," to the point she responded by saying, "I feel blessed." Number 4, hidden marriage. It seems like much of Ariana's relationship is very quiet when you compare it to her other relationships. Maybe this is because Dalton isn't exactly an A-list celebrity, or maybe it's because he wants to keep things a secret. But honestly, it's not really shocking that Dalton wouldn't want the relationship to be in the spotlight, as any celebrity couple who flaunts their relationship in public doesn't end up looking really happy, and their relationships don't really end up lasting. But this, at the end of the day, could be because Ariana has doubts about their relationship. With the pair having a tiny and intimate ceremony with less than 20 people, it definitely wasn't the fairy tale come true wedding for the star, and I think we can all agree everything just looked a little basic, especially since it was a wedding for a girl who legit bragged about that if she wanted something, she could have it. And having those 7 rings, we were expecting big, lavish, and a fairy book inspired wedding. We wanted Wicked vibes, and that's just not what we got. With their romance being so happy and full of love, it makes you wonder why the couple kept their marriage a secret and why it took them so long to announce that they were actually getting married. Number 3, the signed prenup. Over the years, we have seen many celebrity divorces hit the fan. As they involved so much money and problems for the stars. And we have to face it, when it comes to splitting the cash, it wasn't exactly easy. Considering that Ariana Grande is worth $180 million before her marriage, she could have lost an awful lot of money if she went into her marriage unprotected. And many people started to point out that it could have been the wrong marriage, and she even had doubts about this person she was marrying. As when fans came to learn the Thank You Next singer finally did tie the knot with the real estate agent in May of 2021, some of them were super concerned that he was only marrying her because he was after her money. Fortunately, it certainly seems like his intentions were pure according to rumors, as Ariana's husband signed a prenup, and if the facts are true, it was also stated that Ariana's lawyer spent months putting together an ironclad prenuptial agreement which Ariana and Dalton both signed before they walked down the aisle. But it really makes you wonder what was exactly in their agreement and how much Dalton could still take if things were to go wrong. Number 2, cultural appropriation. Back in 2021, Ariana and her husband Dalton would be accused of mocking Native American cultures in a now deleted Instagram video. The clip reposted by Ariana would resurface online, and it would quickly be shared by various Twitter accounts. While the victorious actress and her husband were joined by a few friends, the group could be seen participating in a native dance while sitting at the center of the circle. Ariana could be seen singing, laughing, while spinning a huge piece of cloth around in the air, while the other people in the short video were allegedly whooping and drumming along with her. The singer then went on to receive backlash from a number of upset fans for mocking Native American culture, with one fan writing, "Ariana disrespecting indigenous people's culture. Americans have such a long history of dehumanizing Native Americans, but shouldn't we hold those with a platform to a higher standard, even if it was bare minimum?" As many Many people went on to drag Ariana. What made matters even worse is when fans started to tell Native Americans who were voicing their opinions as they were upset over the star's behavior. They were being told to shut up, and Ariana just sat there and watched it all happen. And coming in number 1 today with Justin Bieber. For years now, it seems like everyone has been shipping Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber to get together, with both being superstars. They're the same age, and I mean, it's really not hard to see why so many fans believe they could be the perfect celebrity couple. While Justin may be married to Hailey Baldwin, and Ariana may be dating other guys and is now married, it doesn't mean that they're not meant to be together. They have so much in common, and they've been friends for years. For some reason, fate just doesn't bring them together, but that doesn't mean we might not see them come together in the future. From the stars going on tour with each other, Ariana being a huge fan, they got to know each other personally. In 2013, they were even spotted sharing a kiss that broke the internet. Well, Ariana did come out to clear the air and said that their kiss meant nothing. It made a lot of people wonder if she was only saying this because she didn't want to step on Selena's toes. And can we just talk about all the backstage love they've been sharing behind the scenes together, as we can't help but notice they can't stay away from each other. And with this whole Stuck With You collab, it just seemed like they made the video to tell their significant others they were happy to be stuck inside with them because they couldn't be with each other. But maybe I'm just looking too deep into things because I don't like Hailey.
Number 10, Kel Mitchell. Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? That sentence always blasts into my skull when I talk about Kel Mitchell, and I really hope it's the same for you. Kel was another young buck to be casted on the hit sketch show All That with Amanda Bynes and future best friend Kenan Thompson. Much like Amanda, Kel was asked to participate in a spin-off of All That, only this time he was in a straight-up sitcom rather than a sketch show. The show Kenan and Kel, starring Kel and Kenan Thompson, it's one of my favorite shows that was ever produced by the Nickelodeon channel. These two had incredible chemistry, so good that Nick backed a movie centered around their Good Burger sketch that has actually aged pretty well. His career never really took off after that, with him only appearing in the sitcom world and in a minimal capacity at that. But his loss of fame was self-inflicted. As his career on the screen slowed down, his family life had been nothing but going up. He decided to stay at home and focus on building a relationship with his wife and rapper, Asia Lee, and they are currently expecting a second child together sometime this year. Here's hoping that when the kids are all a little older, that Kel can finally take some time off and make a return to the acting world for good. There was a rumor of a Good Burger 2 being in the works, so I don't know, let's start that now. Everybody, hashtag Good Burger 2, make that trend. Number 9, Miranda Cosgrove. Miranda may have rose to Nickelodeon stardom when she played the titular Carly on the show iCarly, but she got her first big role starring alongside Jack Black in the classic comedy School of Rock. During her time with Nickelodeon, she not only played Carly, but she also played the mischievous little sister Megan in the sitcom Drake and Josh. There's a neat little fan theory about that, but I won't get into it right now. Following the end of iCarly, Miranda seemed to disappear from the world of acting entirely, apart from lending her voice to the character Margot in the Despicable Me franchise. The reason being is she decided to go back to school. She used her iCarly cash to fund a degree at the University of Southern California, where she initially took film studies, but eventually shifted her focus to a major in psychology. She put her talents on pause, but following her graduation and her recent return to sitcom world, iCarly was revived for Paramount Plus last year. She's still not famous per se, but it is cool to see Miranda on screen again after so many years away. Number 8, Drake Bell. Drake and Josh. A sitcom that gifted us with some incredible one-liners and caused anyone named Megan to have their name screeched in their face in frustration. Megan! Drake Bell and Josh Peck starred as the titular Drake and Josh for 4 seasons before being cancelled in 2008. Following the cancellation, the 3 main cast members all went on to have semi-steady work, for a short while at least. Miranda Cosgrove, who we just talked about, played Megan and had some success in voiceovers, but she got her own sitcom and then dropped out of the acting world in 2015. Josh Peck starred in a few movies and TV shows here and there, but he's only recently made a return to the mainstream, appearing in the new Christopher Nolan film Oppenheimer. Drake has probably had the worst go of the crew. When the show was cancelled, his roles were limited to straight-to-video flicks and voiceover roles, starring as Spider-Man in the animated Ultimate Spider-Man series. The worst performance of all, though, was when Nickelodeon thought that it would be a great idea to make a live-action Fairly Odd Parents movie starring Drake as Timmy Turner, berries! Needless to say, his status as a celebrity was gone at that point, but the nail was driven into the coffin in 2021 when Drake was sentenced to 2 years of probation and 200 hours of community service after it was revealed that he had been grooming a young fan for years. So if you see him in an orange jumpsuit on the side of the road or like cleaning graffiti off a wall, now you know why. Number 7. Amanda Bynes. Amanda got her lucky break on the Nickelodeon sketch series All That, which was essentially Nickelodeon's version of the late night sketch show Saturday Night Live. It sported a stellar cast, including current SNL cast member Kenan Thompson, Drake Bell, and Lori Beth Denberg. Eventually, the producer decided to offer Amanda her own series. Her success only grew from there. The Amanda Bynes Show became one of Nickelodeon's most watched series, and she was picked up by several studios to star in non-Nickelodeon projects, like She's the Man and Easy A. Amanda took a hiatus, however, in 2013 following a very public mental breakdown. In 2018, she told fans exactly what caused that breakdown. According to Amanda, she became addicted to the devil's lettuce at a very young age, and while it wasn't an addiction at first, with more roles came more pressure, and a need to find a new way to cope. This eventually led her to more drastic substances. She also believed that she wasn't pretty enough anymore to be in films, even taking Adderall as a way to help keep her skinny. In 2013, Amanda posted a series of bizarre tweets where she seemed to be insulting almost everyone that she could think of, like she called the former President Barack Obama ugly, like she's clearly referencing a character from The Amanda Show, but still. She was arrested and placed under psychiatric hold as she was accused of several hit-and-run incidents and was officially charged with reckless endangerment and criminal possession of herbs and spices. Her parents then placed her under a conservatorship until 2022 when she stood in front of a judge, healthier and better than ever and ready to move on with her life. The judge said okay, and Amanda is now free to live. So good luck, Amanda. There's a million kids who grew up with you, and we've all got your back. Number 6. Dan Schneider. Dan was never a star on camera other than a small role in the movie Good Burger, but without this man, we may not have a lot of beloved TV shows. Dan was a producer behind some of the biggest shows Nickelodeon had to offer, shows like Kenan and Kel, Drake and Josh, iCarly, Zoe 101, all classics that may have never been set to film without Dan at the helm. While Dan was producing well into the late 2010s, his career abruptly ended in 2018 when allegations were brought to light alleging that Dan's behavior over the years was anything but wholesome. According to several set and cast members who've worked with Dan in the past, Dan has a massive temper that would regularly disrupt shoots, he's caused production delays on his own, ballooned the budgets of all of his shows, and there were several complaints about his verbal insults, reportedly emailing and texting cast and crew to complain about things during off hours. Like, hey man, I'm trying to watch Too Hot to Handle, can we just save this till tomorrow? The worst of them all, and what really got him fired, was the way that he was towards his younger cast. I won't go too far into detail because I would probably vomit on camera if I did, but let's just say that Dan is creepy creep who likes dem feet. Put it that way. Thankfully, he's been fired and will never make another penny off of that channel ever again. Number 5. Devin Werkheiser. You may not know Devin by his name, but his face certainly rings a middle school bell in your skull. Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide first premiered in September 2004. For those who missed out on this gem, it followed the titular Ned as he guided us through the daily struggles of attending middle school. It was an instant hit, and I personally watched every episode that they ever made. I basically grew up with this guy. After 3 seasons of the show, it was cancelled, leaving its cast to fend for themselves and find new work. Most of the younger cast members on the show decided to step away from the acting world, with Lindsay Shaw, who played Mose, being the only one with steady work, albeit in like low budget films, but still, it's work, and she's been doing that ever since the show ended. Now, Devin could have had a stellar career, but he said in recent years that following the end of the show, he just had no idea what he was supposed to do next. Devin was 15 when the show finished, and between then and the age of 25, he said he never really found his footing as an actor, always being called back for things but never actually hired. In his mid-20s, the residuals from Ned's finally ran out, forcing him to take his first ever 9-to-5 job. This was the wake-up call that he needed though, as he was finally motivated to do more, and thanks to many fans who were now adults DMing him and asking him when the next Ned's College or Adult Guide would be released. Well, Devin has begun doing a series of lectures across the United States in college and university campuses in an attempt to give advice on the wild world of adulthood. He's also begun a podcast with his co-stars Lindsay Shaw and Daniel Curtis Lee, who played Mose and Cookie, Rookie, where the three break down behind the scenes facts about every episode of the show. So if you want a little bit of Ned's Declassified nostalgia, then check that out. Number 4, Matthew Underwood. Matthew played the rich boy with the puka necklace Logan on the hit series Zoe 101. The show followed the titular Zoe as she started her life at a new private boarding school, where wild and wacky situations ensue. The show gifted us some highly quotable lines and memorable moments that have surely stuck in your head since the show's cancellation in 2008. Matthew played a mean jock on the show, but his character had a lovable side that quickly won fans over. When the show ended, his life started going down a dark path. He found himself involved in some legal troubles after being caught in possession of a controlled substance, devil's lettuce, for which he received 12 months probation. He violated that probation when he entered a hookah bar which he co-owned in St. Lucille called Cloud 9. His criminal history was brief, but it was enough to get him blacklisted from the acting world. There is a nice ending to this story, however. After laying low and working on his mental health, Matthew actually ended up rescuing a baby from a crashed car along with both parents who had allegedly on warm needle juice. This act not only saved the baby, but a judge ruled that the parents were unfit and the child was given to a family member, and they're living happily ever after thanks to Logan. Matt is currently working behind the screen as a director on short films and indie projects, so hey, if you see that Zoe 101 reboot in the future, he's ready to go. Number 3, Jamie Lynn Spears. Continuing on the Zoe 101 train for a minute, Jamie starred as the titular Zoe in the hit series Zoe 101, alongside fellow entry on this list, Matthew Underwood. Her time on the show was well received and made many fans excited about what she may film next. When the show was eventually cancelled in 2008, Jamie was at the center of a massive media rumor. The theory was that Zoe 101 was abruptly cancelled due to Jamie becoming pregnant with her daughter. The reality was that never happened. Jamie did get pregnant, but it was like 6 months after filming had wrapped on the series. The show was cancelled by the executives at Nickelodeon. For some reason, they felt that the show was done and just needed to replace it with something new and more colorful. Jamie actually did have plans to continue her career on the silver screen, but like we said, 6 months into looking for new work, a new job opportunity opened up, and it would be the most challenging job of all. The role of being a mom. She decided to move back to Mississippi and give up a career in film to raise her kid and be a star to her. It's not all missed opportunities, however, as Jamie is still remembered fondly as a musician, releasing several songs before 2010, and she's recently been popping up at several country and rock festivals to lend her voice to the crowd. Many fans will be happy to know that not only will there be a Zoe 101 flick released on Paramount Plus this fall, but it stars the entire original cast, and there's a trailer already out for us to enjoy. Number 2, Josh Peck. Josh made up the second half of the series Drake and Josh alongside musician and bad boy Drake Bell. Josh got his start on the Amanda Bynes Show alongside Amanda Bynes, participating in several classic sketches before eventually moving into his own sitcom. Still considered to be one of the best shows that Nickelodeon ever produced. Josh's time on the show was wonderful. He delivered a zany, big-hearted brother vibe that went really well with Drake's rock and roll, I need love inside attitude. Following the cancellation of the show, Josh went on to star in several silver screen darlings like the underrated comedy Drillbit Taylor alongside Owen Wilson and the reboot of Red Dawn from 2012 alongside Chris Hemsworth. His career dipped in quality following that performance, however. Josh was starting to seem like another one of those Nickelodeon kids who was growing up to be a rambunctious and wild man instead of actually taking his job seriously. He lended his voice to several characters over the years, including various roles in the Ice Age films, but he's mainly stuck to small TV roles or indie flicks. He did maintain a following, however, as a few years ago he started posting TikToks that received millions of views. But recently, Josh has popped up on the cast list for Christopher Nolan's upcoming historical drama Oppenheimer, so perhaps this will mark his return to the acting world, and if it's in a flick like this, well, he might be on the road to Oscar territory. And at number 1, Nat Wolff. Nat Wolff and his brother Alex were the stars of the short-lived Nickelodeon series The Naked Brothers Band that premiered in 2007 following the success of the original Nickelodeon movie of the same name. When the show ended, Nat decided to move on from the on-screen world and focus on his career in music with his brother Alex. He did, however, make a handful of appearances in romantic dramedies like Paper Towns and Fault in Our Stars. Unfortunately, he took a role that he probably shouldn't have in 2017 when he played the character Light in the Netflix live-action adaptation of the anime series Death Note. In case you didn't know, the anime originated in Japan and stars Japanese voice actors. There is not a single actor of Japanese origin in the live-action flick, and Nat's performance was seen as nothing more than another example of Hollywood whitewashing for streaming services. He received a large amount of backlash from fans of the show and dropped out of the acting scene overnight. It wasn't until this past year that he reappeared on the small screen. Nat has been cast to play the love interest to Joe Exotic, Trevor, in the Peacock series Joe vs. Carol, a show based on the popular Netflix docuseries Tiger King. While that show hasn't really garnered the popularity that it really should, seeing Nat make a return to the scene is awesome. And as a fan of his show back in the day, I am hoping he collaborates with Alex for a horror film. After seeing Alex star in the 2017 horror pick Hereditary, it's like the only thing I can think about when I see these two.
Number 10. Jamie Lynn Spears. Zoey 101 was a boarding school set dramedy that hit Nickelodeon in January of 2005. Starring as protagonist Zoe Brooks, Jamie Lynn Spears was reportedly brought on by its creator Dan Schneider because she looked a lot like her older sister and superstar Britney Spears. But little did fans know there was actually a scandal brewing behind the set, as its star was just 16 when she fell pregnant, which would have been a bombshell for the very PG show. In her memoir, Things I Should Have Said, Jamie Lynn Spears confessed that her team decided that Britney Spears should not be told about her pregnancy as it was too risky. Quote, "The entire Spears team was already caught up in my sister's PR difficulties, and everyone around me just wanted to make this issue disappear." From there, her family and management pulled her out of school until they could figure out what to do next, and even took away her phone for fear that she would tell the world about the news. As a result, the actress said that her father even stopped speaking to her. But when the news got out, Nick immediately released a statement saying, "We respect Jamie Lynn's decision to take responsibility in this sensitive and personal situation." And after wrapping shooting for the 4th season of Zoey 101, the network went on to cancel the series. Number 9. Anne Walker Farrell. A director on Netflix's BoJack Horseman, Anne Walker Farrell wrote on Twitter that she was preyed upon by Nickelodeon showrunner Chris Savino 15 years ago when she was 20, when they both worked at the Cartoon Network. She wrote that she was speaking up for the young guns out there and also posted what appears to be a letter advising the unknown recipient that Savino should be terminated from Nickelodeon for being a predator and a liability. Anne's complaint was shared publicly and actually ended up working, as once the truth was exposed, it became a massive PR nightmare for the network, akin to their own version of Harvey Weinstein. The scandal became too much for the company to bear, and in 2017, Nick was forced to fire Savino over the allegations made by Anne and at least a dozen other women. It was a tough decision for them, considering the fact that he was one of their most prominent showrunners, who has been in the business since the early 90s. Number 8. Mark Summers. You might remember Mark Summers as the host of the Nick game show Double Dare, but the face of one of Nickelodeon's biggest 90s hits apparently doesn't think much of the channel, and he has made his opinion pretty clear in a 2013 interview. Quote, "The network is going in the dumper. Disney beats it. They have no idea what they're doing. They put on a bunch of cartoons and stuffed animals instead of real human beings that other people can associate with. The creative people are gone. It's become a how much money can we make from this merchandise and how many tours can we put out and steal money from the parents." Nickelodeon obviously did him dirty when you think about everything that he said. But his bitter rant was far from over, and in that same interview, when asked if he would ever return to the network, he grew frustrated and called the executives of Nick a bunch of a-holes who have been trying to screw him over ever since he left. It's entirely possible that his time at the network did not end well, and they decided to blacklist him and get some kind of revenge for him leaving on bad terms. But maybe it wasn't all that simple, considering that in 2018 he returned to the Double Dare stage as the announcer for the revival of the show. Number 7. Josh Peck. The star of Drake and Josh actually read Jennette McCurdy's new memoir and shared some incredibly kind words about the actress, saying, "I think she's incredibly brave to tell her story and to be as honest as she is." Just like Jennette, Josh released his very own candid memoir this year called Happy People Are Annoying. In it, he opens up about the hurdles he faced as a former child star, including his weight struggles and year-long battle with substance misuse and addictions. Looking to feel better about himself, the actor explained in an interview interview that he lost 127 pounds in an 18-month time span while filming the show. But when that didn't bring him happiness, he admitted that he turned to alcohol and illicit substances for help. In the tell-all book, Josh disclosed his earnings on the show and revealed that he averaged roughly $15,000 per episode. But after paying a 20% fee to his agent, along with other fees to different managers, he wasn't left with very much at all. He also explained that he hasn't made any money off the show since it ended in 2007, despite the fact that reruns continue to play to this day, simply because kids TV doesn't have residuals. Number 6. Jennette McCurdy. The iCarly star recently released a book titled I'm Glad My Mom Died, which shocked fans to the core upon its release, because it reveals what really went on behind the cameras at Nick. Jennette exposed her traumatic experiences as a child star and detailed numerous instances where she felt exploited as an actor both on and off set. Describing the creator as mean-spirited, controlling, and terrifying, she alleged that Dan Schneider was extremely inappropriate with the cast, and at one point he was not even allowed to be on set with them and had to direct the episodes from a separate control room. She also opens up about the perils of young fame and reveals that she developed an eating disorder, partly due to pressure imposed on her by her mother. And if you had any remaining doubts about how serious her allegations are, Jennette also revealed that the network offered her $300,000 if she agreed to keep silent about her experiences. The 31-year-old said that the offer was made right after her stint in Sam and Cat ended in 2014, and at the time she said that it felt like hush money. In the end, after everything she had gone through as a child star, she rejected Nick's offer and has been vocal about her experiences ever since. Number 5. Evan Jogia. The Canadian actor had his breakthrough role playing Beck Oliver in Victorious, but after Jennette McCurdy's bombshell allegations surfaced, fans really started to question whether or not he had the same experience. In a recent TikTok video, Evan admitted that he did not actually remember filming the series at all, because he was blackout drunk almost every night. Quote, when you don't remember a single plotline to a single Victorious episode, but you do remember going out partying every night. When one fan added that the show seems like a fever dream to her, Evan said, "Me too, and I was there." And when another fan asked, "So Beck was hungover all the time?" he said, "Yes." This admission was a huge red flag because in Jennette's new memoir, she talks about the creator pressuring her to drink while she's underage and telling her that the Victorias get drunk together all the time. The iCarly kids are so wholesome. We need to give you guys a little edge. Sometime later, she claims that Schneider got in trouble with Nickelodeon for inappropriate behavior with the young cast and was not allowed to be near the actors anymore. So it's entirely possible that he was creeping on more than just one actor at the same time. Number 4. Katina Waters. In 2014, the stunt woman from iCarly claimed that the production ruined her career by recklessly dropping her from far too high above the ground, causing some really horrific injuries. In a stunt gone wrong, Katina Waters was supposed to be dropped slowly from the ceiling for an episode of iCarly in 2011. She was to be slowly lowered to the ground while still attached to a wire. Instead, she claims that the person operating the descender machine dropped her without warning and she crashed to the floor. The consequences of the incident were extremely gruesome, as the fall caused severe injuries to her leg, including fractured bones and torn ligaments. But the long-term effects on her health were even worse for her career. Waters was a highly successful stunt actor who performed in dozens of TV shows and movies, but of course she missed out on a lot of work following the incident. Subsequently, she decided to sue the producer, Schneider's Bakery, plus Nickelodeon and MTV networks for the pain, suffering, and loss of earnings as a result of the incident. While the lawsuit was a really bad look for Nick, it shined a light on the mistreatment of the cast and crew on some of their biggest shows. Number 3. Caitlin Sanchez. The network had a really big mess on their hands when Caitlin Sanchez, the teenager who played Dora the Explorer for over 3 years, alleged that when she made the deal with Nickelodeon to voice the iconic character, she was given just 22 minutes to sign the contract without an experienced lawyer. The young star allegedly did so under duress and with the promise that she'd receive residuals for her work, plus money from merchandising, which was not true at all. Dora the Explorer is now an $11 billion global brand, so the contract that Caitlin signed actually conned her out of millions of dollars. In 2010, she decided to sue Nickelodeon and MTV networks, specifically citing unpaid working hours as well as being paid only $40 for promotional appearances. The legal battle made headlines throughout the world, and thanks to statements made by Caitlyn's attorney that if Nickelodeon refused to pay up by a certain date, he'd expose their humiliating secrets. Although she was somewhat successful in the end and received a settlement of $500,000, she later tried to resue because she and her family alleged that their attorney at the time acted fraudulently and neglected to tell them about taxes and lawyer fees. But by now, many people realize that the network has a problematic history of underpaying their child stars. Number 2. Angelique Bates. The actress who was one of the original cast members on Nick's hit sketch comedy show All That exposed the reality behind the cameras when she spoke to the Shade Room in 2016. Angelique explained some of the horrors she endured, such as physical, emotional, and mental mistreatment from her mother in front of producers who not only turned the other cheek, but strongly urged her to just accept the violence and remain silent. She said that she was only 12 years old when the nightmare began, and that producers and cast members could hear her yelling, but nothing was done to help her. According to Angelique, Child Protective Services did eventually show up in 1996, but she said the adults on set pressured her to stay silent. Angelique's mother, Dee Bates, came forward in support of her daughter, although she tried to shift the blame onto the network. Whatever the case with her mother's questionable side of the story, the former child star also explained that she was pretty much released from her contract at age 15, and claimed that she was blackballed by the entertainment industry as a result. But to this day, Nickelodeon has never come forward with an official response to the accusations. Number 1. Alexa Nicholas. The former Zoey 101 star has recently come forward with her own Nickelodeon horror story while protesting outside of Nick's Burbank headquarters. According to TMZ, the 30-year-old actress organized the heated protest herself in order to bring more of her own disturbing allegations to light, specifically against iCarly series creator Dan Schneider. In recent years, Alexa has been active in her advocacy for survivors of violence, as she leads her own organization called Eat Predators. While standing at the studio's front doors, she alleged that during her time on the show, she and fellow child actors were not safe, so she organized a protest at the studio to speak up and try to change things by taking matters into her own hands. Alexa revealed that she didn't feel Nickelodeon had her best interest in mind, and called her entire experience there traumatic. She believes in exposing the truth about the network's business practices, and calls out Nick's excessive use of NDAs, which she says silence children and prevent them from getting help. She even brought up the fact that Nick has yet to respond to the allegations from Jennette or herself, or announce that they plan to take any kind of action at all. Number 10. iCarly's Stunt Double. If you want to know something that proves the people at Nickelodeon only care about money, I've got a scandal for you that was almost swept under the rug entirely. In 2014, a stunt woman from iCarly claimed that the production ruined her career by recklessly dropping her from far too high above the ground, causing some really gruesome injuries. In a stunt gone wrong, Katina Waters was supposed to be dropped slowly down from the ceiling for an episode of iCarly in 2011. She was supposed to be slowly lowered to the ground while still attached to a wire. Instead, she claims that the person operating the descender machine dropped her without warning, and she crashed to the floor. The medical consequences of the incident were pretty horrific. It caused severe injuries to her leg, including fractured bones and torn ligaments. But the long-term effects on her health were even worse for her career. Waters was a highly successful stunt actor who performed in dozens of TV shows and movies, but of course she missed out on a lot of work following the incident. Subsequently, she decided to sue the producer, Schneider's Bakery, plus Nickelodeon and MTV networks for pain, suffering, and loss of earnings. And she made the right decision, as it later emerged that it wasn't the first time something like that had happened on the show. Number 9. The GAC. After seeing countless celebrities being slimed on TV for years, there was an extremely high demand for Nickelodeon to release their iconic gooey green sludge to the public. This led the network to release what they called GAC into toy stores across the country in 1992, much to the delight of 90s kids everywhere. The product wasn't exactly slime that they had on the Nick shows, it was more like a squishy putty that made funny noises when you pressed it between your hands. Kids also loved the name GAC because not only was it onomatopoeia, but it also just sounded like how the product felt. However, the branding turned out to be a highly controversial decision, as the name itself was common street lingo for illicit street substances. In fact, it was literally a term for the substance that goes onto a spoon. The story goes that while someone on the Nick crew was working with the then nameless slime one day, they nicknamed it Gak, which became a naughty inside joke on set because of its meaning. Game show host Mark Summers was in on the joke too and eventually started saying it live on air, but Nickelodeon's marketing department allegedly had no idea and just cluelessly went along with it. Number 8. The voice of Dora. The network had a really big mess on their hands when Caitlin Sanchez, the teenager who starred on Dora the Explorer until she reached puberty, alleged that when she made the deal with Nickelodeon to voice the iconic character, she was given just 22 minutes to sign the contract without an experienced lawyer. The young star did so under duress, with the alleged promise that she'd receive residuals for her work, plus money from merchandising. This was in 2007, years before Dora the Explorer was established as an $11 billion global brand. So in 2010, Caitlin sued Nickelodeon and MTV networks for making her sign what she believed was a terrible contract that conned her out of millions, specifically citing unpaid work hours, as well as being paid only $40 for promotional appearances. The legal battle made headlines throughout the world thanks to statements made by Caitlin's attorney that if Nickelodeon refuses to pay up by a certain date, he would expose their humiliating secrets. But the young voice actor ended up settling for $500,000, but then tried to re-sue because she and her family thought that the lawyer acted fraudulently and didn't tell her that most of the settlement would be eaten by taxes and lawyer fees. But to fans, the whole settlement just proved that the network certainly had something to hide. Number 7. Chris Savino. Once it was exposed, the massive scandal that was a PR nightmare for Nickelodeon was akin to the network's own version of Harvey Weinstein. In 2017, Nick was forced to fire one of its most prominent showrunners, Chris Savino, over allegations made by at least a dozen women. Savino, who has been in the business since the early 90s, previously worked on such animated shows as Dexter's Laboratory and the Powerpuff Girls, and was the creator of Nick's second highest rated kids show at the time, Loud House, which centers on a boy's life while dealing with a house full of sisters. According to Cartoon Brew, as many as 12 women came forward to accuse Savino of predatory behavior, including unwanted sexual advances and threats of blacklisting after the relationships with co-workers had ended. What's even more disturbing is that the site said that the reports date back at least a decade. One woman said that she didn't accept an offer to work at Nickelodeon simply because Savino worked there. She alleged that when they both worked for Disney, he sent her explicit text messages and photos, and once offered her a job in exchange for inappropriate things. And Walker Farrell, the director of BoJack Horseman, also came forward with her own Savino horror story from the early 2000s, when both of them worked at Cartoon Network. Just goes to show you how cases involving power and inappropriate behavior infect almost every corner of Hollywood. Number 6. Zoey 101. The show was a boarding school set dramedy that hit Nickelodeon in January of 2005. Starring as protagonist Zoe Brooks, Jamie Lynn Spears was reportedly brought on by its creator Dan Schneider, all because she looked a lot like her older sister and superstar Britney Spears. But little did fans know there was actually a scandal brewing behind the set, as its star was just 16 when she fell pregnant, which would have been a bombshell for the very PG show. In her memoir, Things I Should Have Said, Jamie Lynn Spears confessed that her team decided that her pop star sister should not be told about her pregnancy because it was too risky. Quote, "The entire Spears team was already caught up in my sister's PR difficulties, and everyone around me just wanted to make this issue disappear. From there, her family and management pulled her out of school until they could figure out what to do next, and even took away her phone for fear that the news would get out. As a result, the actress said that even her father stopped talking to her." But once the news was released, Nickelodeon immediately released a statement saying, "We respect Jamie Lynn's decision to take responsibility in this sensitive and personal situation." And after wrapping shooting for the 4th season of Zoey 101, the network cancelled the series altogether. Number 5. Jason Biggs. In the early seasons of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on Nickelodeon, Jason Biggs could be heard voicing lead turtle Leonardo, but scandal quickly erupted at the network when it was revealed that his social media activity was offensive enough that there were many calls to Nickelodeon to protest his involvement with the show. So in 2014, after only 2 seasons, he was ultimately replaced by Seth Green on the the popular series, and for a good reason. Jason's Twitter in the 2010s was a PR nightmare. In fact, there didn't seem to be any topic too controversial for him to joke about, like a Bachelorette contestant who died, a plane crash, the Pope, women's basketball, and sexually explicit comments about the politician Paul Ryan's wife. But the jokes backfired big time when the official Ninja Turtles Twitter account gave a shout out to Jason's personal account and encouraged their followers to check it out. It's safe to say that the kid-friendly and PG network is not pleased with the immense backlash that they started receiving from parenting groups and conservative bloggers, eventually leading them to release a statement apologizing, while Fox News host Megyn Kelly called the American Pie actor a disgusting pig and called for him to be fired. Ultimately, the network responded to the pressure and gave Jason the boot. Number 4. Angelique Bates. The actress who was one of the original cast members on Nick's sketch comedy show All That exposed the reality behind the cameras when she spoke to the Shade Room in 2016. Angelique explains some of the horror she endured, such as physical, emotional, and mental mistreatment from her mother in front of producers who not only turned the other cheek, but strongly urged her to just accept the violence and remain silent. She said that she was only 12 years old when the nightmare began, and that the producers and cast members could hear her yelling, but nothing was done to help her. According to Angelique, Child Protective Services did eventually show up in 1996, but she said that the adults on set pressured her to stay silent. Possibly in an attempt to muddy the waters or save her own skin, Angelique's mother, Dee Bates, came forward in support of her daughter, although she tried to shift the blame onto the network. Whatever the case with her mother's questionable side of the story, the former child star also explained that she was pretty much released from her contract at age 15 and claimed that she was blackballed by the entertainment industry as a result. But to this day, Nickelodeon have never come forward with an official response to the accusations. Number 3. Victorious. Canadian actor Evan Jogia had his breakthrough role playing Beck Oliver in Victorious, but after Jennette McCurdy's bombshell allegations regarding Dan Schneider, fans really started to question whether or not he had the same experience. In a recent TikTok video, Evan admitted that he did not actually remember filming the series at all, because he was blackout drunk almost every night. Quote, "When you don't remember a single plotline to a single Victorious episode, but you do remember going out partying every night." When one fan added that the show seemed like a fever dream to her, Evan just said, "Me too, and I was there." And when another fan asked, "So Beck was hungover all the time?" he just said yes. This admission was significant because in Jennette's new memoir, she talks about the creator pressuring her to drink while she was underage, allegedly saying, quote, "The Victorious kids get drunk all the time. The iCarly kids are so wholesome. We need to give you guys a little edge." Sometime later, she claims that Schneider got into trouble with Nickelodeon for inappropriate behavior with the young cast and was not allowed to be near the actors anymore, meaning that he had to direct them from a separate control room. So it's entirely possible that he was creeping on more than just one actor. Number 2. Jennette McCurdy. The iCarly star recently released her new memoir, which has been described as both heartbreaking and hilarious. The blunt title, "I'm Glad My Mom Died," shocked fans upon its release, because it reveals what really went on behind the cameras, something that up until now fans have only been able to really speculate about. Jennette exposed her traumatic experiences on Nick, and the disturbing truth about how she was mistreated by her mother, who pushed her to be a child star, noting that her own persona that she was known for throughout her youth and her young adult life was all a front forced upon her by her mom, who in addition to everything else was extremely physically inappropriate with her. Jennette also discusses the perils of young fame and reveals that she developed an eating disorder as a child, and talks about why she ultimately quit acting altogether. She also goes into great detail of numerous instances where she felt exploited as an actor, both on and off set. Describing the creator as mean-spirited, controlling, and terrifying, the former Nick star recalled a time when she was filming an episode of iCarly that he insisted that she wear a bikini instead of a one-piece swimsuit, which she was much more comfortable with. Number 1. Drake and Josh. This show was one of the most popular shows on Nickelodeon in the early 2000s. Starring Drake Bell and Josh Peck, the sitcom was one of the network's most successful projects from that time. So when the truth finally came out, fans were understandably left disillusioned and upset. Nobody knew that behind the scenes, Josh heavily struggled with addiction. Looking to feel better about himself, the actor explained in an interview that he lost 100 127 pounds in an 18-month time span while filming the show. But when that didn't bring him happiness, he admitted that he turned to alcohol and illicit substances for help. But that was nothing compared to the revelation that his co-star was caught grooming young fans. In July of 2021, Drake Bell pled guilty to attempted endangering of children and disseminating harmful materials to juveniles after a young woman came forward and accused him of predatory behavior. The 19-year-old, who chose to remain anonymous, claimed that he began talking to her when she was 12. The actor managed to get away with 2 years on probation and 200 hours of community service. But at 36 years old, Drake Bell's reputation is now irreparably tarnished.